Kay tipped back her goblet, drinking it to the dregs. The first sip of mushroom wine had been foul, but afterwards she had found herself touching her tongue to her teeth, searching for more of the earthy, bitter flavour. Her cheeks were hot to the press of her own palms, and she felt more than slightly dizzy. "Don't! That isn't good to eat," Lucy Lou said. The little fairy was perched on Kay's shoulder, one hand clutching a silver hoop earring, and the other holding on to a lock of hair. "Better than good," Kay said, drawing her fingers across the bottom of the goblet, sifting the sediment, then licking it from her hand. She took an experimental step, trying to spin, and catching herself moments before she crashed into a table. "Where's my rat?" "Hiding like we should be." "Look," Ludi said, but Kay couldn't see what she was gesturing at. Could have been anything. Trolls skulked among the tables next to selkies without their skins, while hollow-backed dopplers danced and whirled. There was at least one kelpie. The stench of brine was heavy in the air. But there were also nixies, sprites, brownies, bogies, fookers, a shagfoal in the corner, will-o'-the-wisps zipping among stalagmites, grinning spriggans, and more. Not just the local denizens either. Folk had travelled from distant courts to witness the coronation. There were envoys from more courts than Kay had known existed, some seelie, some unseelie, and others that claimed those distinctions were meaningless. All of them here to watch the Night Court pledge fealty to its new master. They smiled at her, smiles full of thoughts Kay could not decipher. The tables were spread with dark blue cloths and set with platters of ice. Branches and holly berries rested between sculptures composed of frozen blocks of greenish water. A black-tongued monster licked at a chunk containing a motionless minnow. Bitter acorn cakes frosted with a sugary blackberry paste were stacked near pinned and roasted pigeon feet. Slushy black punch floated in an enormous copper bowl, the metal sweating and cloudy with cold. Occasionally, someone dipped a long-stemmed icicle cup into it and sipped at the contents. Kay looked up as the hall went silent. Reuben had entered the room with his courtiers. Thistledown, the unseelie herald, ran in front of the procession, long golden heads streaming from his wizened head. Then came the piper, Blewett, playing her lilting instrument. Next marched Reuben, with his two knights, Elabir and Dulcamara, following him at an exact 3 paces. Goblins held up the edges of Reuben's coat. Behind them were others, his chamberlain, Ruddles, a cupbearer holding a winding goblet of horn, and several pages holding the harnesses of 3 black dogs. Reuben mounted a moss-covered dais near a great throne of woven birch branches and turned toward the crowd, going to his knees. He leaned his head forward, and his hair, silver as a knife, fell like a curtain over his face. "Will you take the oath?" Thistledown asked. "I will," Reuben said. "The endless night," Thistledown intoned, "of darkness, ice, and death is ours. Let our new lord be also made from ice. Let our new lord be born from death. Let our new lord commit himself to the night." He lifted a crown woven of ash branches, small broken stubs of twigs forming the spires, and set it on Reuben's head. Reuben rose. "By the blood of our queen which I spilt," he said, "by this circlet of ash placed upon my brow, I bind myself to the Night Court on this, Midwinter's Eve, the longest night of the year." Elabir and Dulcamara knelt on either side of him. The court knelt with them. Kay crouched awkwardly. "I present to you," called the herald, "our undoubted lord Reuben, king of the unseelie court. Will you humble yourselves and call him sovereign?" A great joyful shrieking and screaming. The hair stood up along Kay's arms. "You are my people," Reuben said, his hands extended, "and as I am bound, you are lashed to my bidding. I am naught if not your king." With those words he sank into the chair of birch, his face blank. Folk began to stand again, moving to make their obeisance to the throne. A spriggan chased a tiny winged fairy under the table, making it tremble. The ice bowl sloshed, and the tower of cubes collapsed, tumbling into disarray. "Kay!" Ludi squeaked. "You're not looking!" Kay turned to the dais. A scribe sat cross-legged next to Reuben, recording each supplicant. Leaning forward from his throne, the lord addressed a wild-haired woman dressed in scarlet. As she moved to kneel, Kay glimpsed a cat's tail twitching from a slit in her dress. "What am I not looking at?" Kay asked. "Have you never seen a declaration, Pixie?" sneered a woman with a necklace of silver scarabs. "You are the Ironside girl, aren't you?"